Welcome to Best 5, where we dive deep into the darkest corners of history to bring you the most chilling stories. Today we're exploring the realm of the worst serial killers in history. These individuals have left a legacy of terror and despair, their names etched in the annals of horror. Number 5. Dr. Death. Harold Shipman, known as Dr. Death, left an indelible mark on history as one of the most prolific serial killers in recorded history. His reign of terror spanned decades, with his actions shattering trust in the medical profession. Born in 1946, Shipman's early life was marked by tragedy. Witnessing his mother's death from lung cancer at a young age deeply affected him. This experience, coupled with an addiction to opioid painkillers, influenced his decision to become a doctor. Despite being fired from his initial position for forging prescriptions, Shipman managed to re-enter the medical profession. It is believed he killed his first patient in 1971, and his killing spree intensified after starting his own private practice in 1993. The true extent of Shipman's crimes came to light when undertaker Deborah Massey noticed an unusually high number of dead bodies coming from Shipman's office. This led to a lengthy investigation, but it wasn't until 2000 that Shipman was convicted on 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. Shipman's trial revealed chilling details of his method, administering lethal doses of diamorphine to his victims, inducing respiratory failure. His primary targets were elderly patients and those with pre-existing health conditions. Despite overwhelming evidence, Shipman maintained his innocence until the end. Convicted and sentenced to life in prison, Shipman committed suicide in 2004. An official inquiry in 2005 estimated that he had killed an astonishing 250 people. Shipman's legacy is one of tragedy and betrayal, forever tarnishing the medical profession. Number 4. BTK Killer. In the Kansas, a chilling tale of murder and methodical madness unfolded. This is the story of Dennis Rader, known to the world as the BTK Killer. Born in 1955, Dennis Rader was a seemingly ordinary man with a dark secret. His fascination with bondage and torture led him to commit heinous crimes over 3 decades. Rader's reign of terror began in 1974. He targeted families, binding, torturing, and killing his victims in a methodical and calculated manner. His victims ranged from 6 to 84 years old, with a total of 10 lives taken. For years, the BTK Killer eluded capture. His crimes were shocking, but his ability to blend into society was even more terrifying. It wasn't until 2004 that a new lead emerged. In 2005, Rader made a critical mistake. He sent a floppy disk to the Wichita Police Department containing photos of his victims. This led to his arrest. Upon interrogation, Rader confessed to the crimes, providing chilling details about his methods and motivations. Rader's confession shocked the nation. His methodical approach to murder and the depth of his crimes left a lasting impact on the community. He was sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms in prison, where he remains today. The story of Dennis Rader serves as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the seemingly ordinary. Number 3. Samuel Little. In the annals of American crime, one name stands out as a chilling testament to the depths of human evil. Samuel Little, born on June 7, 1940 as Samuel McDowell, would become one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. Little, known for his brutal and methodical approach, confessed to murdering 93 people, primarily marginalized individuals, between 1970 and 2005. Little's modus operandi was simple yet deadly. He would seek out these vulnerable individuals, engage in sexual activity, and then strangle them using only his hands. This method of murder, leaving no physical evidence, made his crimes particularly difficult to solve. Little was arrested in 2012 and died in 2020 while serving a life sentence. However, it wasn't until 2014 that his true body count was discovered. His confessions, along with sketches he provided of his victims, have been instrumental in identifying and closing some of these cases. Little's crimes spanned across 19 states, and he was recognized as the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. His victims were often overlooked by society, contributing to the difficulty in solving their cases and bringing justice to their families. Despite the closure brought by his confessions, many of Little's cases remain unsolved due to the lack of physical evidence or the inability to match his descriptions to missing persons records. His story serves as a stark reminder of the importance of listening to the voices of the marginalized and the challenges in solving cold cases. Number 2. Jack the Ripper. Between August and November 1888, at least 5 women were brutally murdered. All were prostitutes, and their deaths were marked by throat cuts and mutilation, suggesting a level of anatomical knowledge. The murders were not just acts of violence, they were a spectacle of horror, leaving the city in a state of fear and speculation. The name Jack the Ripper was born from a letter sent to the police, claiming to be from the killer himself. However, this letter was later revealed to be a hoax, adding another layer of mystery to the case. The letter, filled with taunts and threats, was a chilling reminder of the killer's presence and his ability to evade capture. Despite extensive investigations, the killer was never identified. The police were overwhelmed by the sheer number of suspects and the lack of concrete evidence. The case remains one of the most notorious unsolved crimes in history, with theories ranging from a medical student to a royal family member. The murders and the subsequent media coverage led to widespread fear and speculation. Jack the Ripper became a symbol of the dark underbelly of Victorian society, a figure that continues to fascinate and terrify to this day. The case has inspired countless books, movies, and documentaries, keeping the legend of Jack the Ripper alive. Number 1. Green River Killer. In the heart of Washington state, a serial killer prowled the streets, leaving a trail of terror and despair. This is the story of Gary Ridgway, known as the Green River Killer. Born in 1949, Gary Ridgway led a seemingly ordinary life, but beneath the surface, a dark obsession was brewing. Ridgway's reign of terror began in 1982, targeting primarily sex workers and vulnerable women along Route 99. His method was chillingly consistent, luring his victims with offers of money or rides, then strangling them. The Green River Killer's identity remained a mystery for years. It wasn't until 2001, after a decade-long investigation, that Ridgway was finally arrested. In exchange for a plea bargain that spared him the death penalty, Ridgway agreed to reveal the locations of his victims. His confessions were a chilling testament to his crimes, claiming to have killed between 65 to 80 women. Ridgway was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a total of 480 years for the murders, and an additional life sentence for tampering with evidence. His sentencing was a stark reminder of the severity of his crimes. Despite Ridgway's extensive confessions, the exact number of his victims remains uncertain. Some victims are still unidentified, a haunting reminder of the Green River Killer's reign of terror. The story of Gary Ridgway serves as a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk in our society. It's a call to action for all of us to stand up against violence and support those who are most vulnerable.